Hi everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp and to our series. Do you like this setup?
It's nice, I like it.
Everyone's talking about the SwitchUp couch.
Yeah, I see that.
We call it a sofa.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Different sofas for different
needs.
Exactly.
Today we're going to look at the best games from the Nintendo Switch's life cycle, year 3.
Yeah, so 2019 this would have been. We'll go through the 10 best scoring games as per Metacritic, and obviously we'll pipe in with any faults on the games, obviously, but also if we reviewed them, what we thought, what we gave it, etc, etc.
Absolutely. If you want to save yourself money on your eShop credit, head over to switchup.gg where you can get cash back, 5%. You don't actually have to do anything other than spend money on the website and it'll come instantly. What are the best games of year 3 on the Nintendo Switch? Let's find out.
Let's start with 10th place then, as per Metacritic. 2019 best Switch game was The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, the remake of course.
Right, so this came in number 10th for the year.
10th for the year, which I can kind of understand if you're looking at an objective score, because as much as I love this game, and I do love this game, the performance was very iffy, which was unfortunate. You know, like you go through the fields and you cut the grass and you can see some serious drops in frames and whatnot, so I'm assuming that would have affected scores. But if you can just look past that, this game is fantastic.
Yeah, it has that new style they've gone for, isn't it? Almost like a diorama.
Yeah, diorama, plasticine type models and houses and stuff. It looks amazing. Yeah, it's such a beautiful look, isn't it? And they followed that into Echoes of Wisdom.
That one.
Didn't they? But I do think this is the better game, personally. It's based on a Game Boy game from way back when. Must have been about 94, perhaps, 93, somewhere around that time, where you play, obviously, as Link, but he's washed up on Koholint Island.
Who?
Koholint Island, it was called. And you had to wake up the windfish to escape this world. It was just a great adventure. It was at the time, seeing it on the Game Boy, seeing something to the scale of A Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo, but on a small screen, was mind-blowing, you know. And it's testament to that original game that this one holds up so well in terms of its gameplay. You know, the dungeons are really quite ingenious in terms of their design. The items you have to find are clever, and they've managed to, in this one, fix some of the problems that the Game Boy one had in terms of item management. Owing to the fact it had less buttons. You know, so obviously it just fixes some of those bits. It's just a shame about that performance. Otherwise, for me, this would have been, you know, right up this list.
So you'll be replaying this on Switch too?
I've played this so many times over the years. It's my last run through, which was a couple of years ago. I did it without dying, which was nice. That was good.
Man.
It was weird because I was going through the game, and it only occurred to me quite late on, like, I haven't died yet. And then it becomes pressure. You're like, oh man, like I could do this, you know, because you get a special ending if you do it without dying.
So you got the special ending?
I got the special ending,
What
yeah.
happens? Oh, is that a spoiler?
I won't say, but it's, you know, it's worth trying. But yeah, no, it was just weird. Like I didn't even give it a thought, and I must have been about 3/4 of the way through the game at the least, maybe even more. And I was like, oh man, this is on, you know, like, and then the pressure just hits you.
Achieved.
But it was okay in the end. Yeah, no, this is a great game. A shame to see it so low in some respects, but nice to see it on here at the same time.
Yeah, I'd say.
So in 9th place then, we had Astral Chain for 2019, also with 87, so joint with the previous game. Another one is nice to see on here, because perhaps one that some people would forget about. Yeah,
I'd say this is one that a lot of people that have played it would probably rank much higher.
Quite possibly, yeah. It's a very good game, published by Nintendo, this one, but it's almost like a mix between action game, a la almost like Devil May Cry to some degree, but with a detective story in there as well. Just a really quite interesting game, quite an interesting mix of styles.
I think this is one that people will be very excited to have a sequel to on the next platform.
Yeah, I would say so.
Amongst its fans, it's very well loved.
I'd like to know how it did, because it's similar to something like Bayonetta. I believe it's the same team, isn't it? Obviously that's had, I believe so, if I'm wrong, apologies, but that's had obviously 3 games in its series now. It would be nice to see this one get a second and build on its premise.
Yeah, I think so. Like everything about it I like, I just haven't finished it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those.
But I just wonder if it's going to get stuck with that, almost like a curse of those who know about it love it, but not enough people know about it. You get that with some games, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
In 8th place, 87 again, so these first few scored the same, but we've got Cuphead.
Cuphead, and we can actually mention our review score for this.
Yeah, this is the first on the list we actually reviewed.
Let's go.
I don't know what we gave it.
It got in the 90s.
It's certainly
I feel
got
like
in the
it
90s.
got 92 or 3.
I'll have a look in a minute, I'll officially look, but it definitely got in the 90s because I reviewed it and it was the first ever game I gave
Yeah.
such a high score.
I remember you messaging me and being very like, almost, it was almost panic. I was like, what's up? And you were like, I can't think of anything to score this down on.
Yeah, it was weird because the visuals are beautiful,
Yeah.
absolutely stunning. The music, same. The gameplay, looking back now, I think I would probably spot some of the flaws a bit quicker, but it's still amazing.
Yeah.
Like, if you get into that flow of it, you know, the controls help you along the way as much as they really do need to because it's a tough game. And it's quite well priced from what I remember as well.
Yeah, it's cheap. I was
Isn't
actually
it?
playing this yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I went back, because we played through, completed the whole game, but we skipped out a bunch of the run and gun stages. Because they were hard.
Because they're not compulsory, are they?
They're not compulsory, no. But they all use a different premise.
Yes.
So they're not all just run and gun. One of them uses like a gravity shifting mechanic that was brutally difficult to do.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should go back actually.
Just finish those
and
off
max
as well.
that game out.
Because I think one of the things I said about was it could have done with some more run and gun stages. I don't think I agree with that anymore. Not because they're not good,
Yeah.
but I felt at the time you needed a break from the bosses. But thinking about it now, you almost just want to get into the next one and go again while you're in the mood.
Yeah.
So maybe not. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what I feel about that now. But one of the other things I mentioned, which is I still do stand by, is that as wonderful as the music is, I feel it doesn't quite reach a crescendo when you're near the end of a boss. You know, when the boss is near death, the music doesn't actually ramp up. It just carries on as it was. And it would have been nice to just have that build as you know you're near the end.
I agree, but do you think it may affect your performance? Because for me, like, I struggle with that kind of like, internally I'm doing that anyway. When you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
And if there's an extra element that's going to make me more hype, it's probably going to finish. It's going to be over.
Maybe in the same way I just said about Link's Awakening, where I felt the pressure once I'd realised something.
Exactly.
But I still think as a spectacle,
Yeah.
it needed it, you know. But this game is pucker, and we gave it 92, by the way. I've just checked. So yeah, fantastic game. Really, very much worth playing. In 7th place, then, perhaps a bit of a surprise, we had Downwell with 88.
Yeah, which we didn't review.
No, and I'll be honest, I haven't played.
I was going to say I don't know much about this one at all. I just know people love it.
Yeah, I know the premise of it, and I know it's really cheap. It's like a couple of pound. I'm fairly sure. You basically just got to get down to the bottom of each stage, haven't you? Like avoiding obstacles and stuff. It's got that monochromatic art style. But you know, without knowing about this game, but as you say, plenty of people have said how good it is.
Yeah.
That simple premise does intrigue me, or you know, straight away I'd be on board with that. I think, yeah, you know, I'd quite happily lose a couple of hours in that.
But yeah, let us know really, because it's pointless us sitting here and saying, why is it so good? Why do people love it so much? So what did this score?
This was 88%.
88.
Or an average, obviously, of 88, sorry.
You go back in time with that. If anyone gets that reference, I just stick around.
If no one gets it, I'm going to cry,
Yeah, so
to
am
be
I.
honest. In 6th place, we had Super Mario Maker 2, again with 88. We didn't review this one. We did make a video on it. It was just some kind of tips to get yourself started.
Yeah,
So
you'd
as to
made
how
this
to
crazy
make it.
level, hadn't you?
Yeah, I made a level. I made it actually on the first Super Mario Maker on the Wii, or the Wii U, I beg your pardon, which was replicating the dam level from the Turtles game on the NES, which is like a notoriously difficult level.
Yeah.
When you have to go under, sort of swim rather, and defuse these bombs.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to make it in the first Mario Maker, but it didn't quite have enough options to do it properly.
Right.
And then when the second one came around, one of the first things I noticed was you could put bombs in the level. I was like, well, that's it now. I've got to try again. I've got to, remake it.
Yes, I do remember this, because you made your level, and then 3 days later we went online, and someone had basically copied your level 1 for 1 and released a video. Do you remember?
I don't remember that. That's
Do you
what I'm
not?
saying.
And it had a lot of views.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Because our video tanked completely, which was, annoying. But this is a great game. It was one of those. You had Splatoon and Mario Maker on the Wii U, which came towards the end of that console's life.
Yeah.
And they were almost too good for the console. Do you know what I mean? Like they deserve to be seen by a wider audience, and that console allowed for. So obviously they both got sequels on the Switch, and obviously Splatoon got a third game. But Mario Maker 2, it took everything that game did so well and it just ramped it up with extra sprites in terms of the Mario characters and items that you could add to your levels. You had the online mode where you could go on and try other people's levels as well, of course. It's a great game. It's not one I return to often, I must say, but
it's a time investment, isn't it?
It is a time investment. I'm sure some people are just, on it all the time, and they make some incredible levels. Some of the levels you see. You have these weird automated levels where you don't really need to do much. Like you literally move, 10 yards, Mario will jump onto a conveyor belt, and then you can sit back and the rest of the level will play itself. But it's very clever. The mechanics that must have gone into allowing that to happen. It's incredible, really. It's a feat of almost like game design engineering, if you like. But this is one of those where if I were to return to it, it would very quickly remind me why it's so good. Yeah. It's a very different sort of game, and it's a nice game to have because it is more of a toolkit, and it reminds me of like Mario Paint back on the Super Nintendo with that. But it's almost a fully fleshed game too, because you can play so many levels of other people's online. Yeah,
I mean, I used to love making levels. Obviously, you didn't have level creators for the platforms I worked on. I used to work in the Unreal Engine right when it started out, and I remember just kind of Googling how to do it. But once you start to see your creations come to life, I had a big German following. Yeah, I used to make levels for Unreal Tournament, and there was this one called DM Noir.
Right.
I went online, and it was like top of the list, everyone playing it. It was very cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, well, I used to make almost like a point and click, well, not point and click, but like the old adventure games, like text adventure games. Yes, on the Commodore 64 with my cousin.
Nice.
Like, don't get me wrong, he did the vast majority of the work, but it was just so much fun to see it come to fruition, And on this particular level, I made, and I'll link the video by the way if you want to have a look, but I drew it out on graph paper first.
I remember,
and it's just, I don't know, there's something special about that,
Yeah, I seem to recall that you taught, because we were teachers, as you all know, he taught a maths lesson or something and got them to make their own stages or something?
Yeah. What we did was we graphed out World 1, Level 1 of Super Mario Brothers, the first game. Kind of showed them just how it's built up and how one box can become like greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
And we did that for a computing session, and then they looked to design their own. Well, it was fun. That was a good lesson actually. But just making
Probably
this level.
Outstanding.
Well, I would say so, but too modest to say so. But this is a great game. In fifth place, one that I'll be honest, I wouldn't have any interest in playing personally, but I know people love it. It's What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah, I love a walking sim.
Yeah.
This is right up my alley.
Yeah.
I think you would enjoy it. It's like an interactive film.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, I do like walking simulators. Like, I can see the appeal.
Yeah.
But for me, just me personally, they have to be horror-based.
Well, let me interject there.
I've heard this one has some...
Edith Finch,
yeah.
It's that, and it does that thing so well where you start off and you're like, oh, okay, you're revisiting this old family. It's like part of this person's history, the protagonist you're playing as. And then as you start to hear their history, and then you get flashbacks, it is horrific.
Okay, because I'll be honest, I hadn't looked into this one much. I know it's been out ages, but just in case I played it one day.
Yeah.
Didn't want to know too much. But I had heard there was if not a horror element, at least an unnerving feeling about it. So that was one part of it that did pique my interest to a degree.
It's like realism horror in terms of the real horrors of life.
Yes, yeah.
Like the mental illness, things related to kids. It's brutal. Mm-hmm. It's brutal. Like I won't spoil it. You need to play it.
Yeah.
I think you'd come back and be like, oh, okay, that's not what I expected.
No, I think, I think you're right there because, I mean, when I said horror, I did mean pure horror. But at the same time, there is something about, a story that hits home, I guess, on the human side of it. But it's one I've definitely been interested in. I know it's one that's well loved. I remember watching a video about it years and years ago. I used to get video game, like Games Master back in the day and things like that. They revived one of those on Sky. It didn't last very long. Tried to do it in the old format of 1990s, and they spoke about What Remains of Edith Finch on there.
Nice.
At some point, whenever it was, and I did. It sounded interesting.
It's surrealist. That's what it is.
Surrealism, yeah.
Which I find quite scary if it's done well.
I think it can be. I mean, if you look at something like what's the painting one called?
There's a lot of surrealist painters.
Not the painting game, sorry. The horror painting game, Layers of Fear. Mm-hmm. Which is more horror, but it does have that surrealist angle to it as well.
And to be honest, it's the surrealist angles that I remember.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
that it all goes mad, that game,
It
by
does,
the end, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. But yeah, maybe it's one I'll give some time to then see what I think. In fourth place, we have Fire Emblem Three Houses, which got 89, which ironically, yesterday's video, or this week's video, I should say, depending on when this goes out, was one of the Fire Emblem games that's just been released on the Nintendo Switch online, hasn't it? Which was the Sacred Stones. So Three Houses was one of the kind of newer Fire Emblem games. So you had Awakening on the 3DS.
Yeah.
Which kind of re-sparked. So I say re-sparked. It didn't really re-spark because it didn't have much of an audience in the West, and it was a series that was on the verge of being cancelled by Nintendo, and that one did so well that it revitalised the series and led into things like Three Houses.
That's another one that you can only imagine already has a game in the works for the next console.
I'd be surprised if it didn't. It's done well enough now, I feel, that it would be a series that every Nintendo console moving forward will have a game for, you know.
You think so?
I would think so, yeah. But I haven't played as much of Three Houses as I did Engage. So there's 2 Fire Emblem games on the Switch, traditional Fire Emblem games. You do have the Warriors ones as well. But with Fire Emblem, you have the core mechanics that I love regardless. You know, you have that TRPG, building your team up, the relationship building, the promotion system, the rock, paper, scissors style of combat in terms of what weapons are better against others, taking it all onto a map and whatnot. And obviously both of the games I've just mentioned have that. Three Houses went a bit heavier with the relationship side of it. It was set across 3 different schools, whereas Engage did still have it, but focused more on the action. So for me, I preferred that one. It felt a bit more like the old school ones. So I prefer that over Three Houses, but I think I'm in the minority there. I think most people seem to prefer Three Houses.
Yeah, and I think they added in another house. I'm sure they did post-launch.
DLC.
As DLC,
right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Good game though.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic game. It's a fantastic series, and it's well worth playing. If you like strategy games at all, certainly give one of those 2 a look. But yeah, I would just have the other game higher up. But that didn't release this year, so it's a moot point, to be honest.
Totally moot.
Fourth, we had, Fire Emblem Three Houses. In third place, we have one that I know you reviewed. This is Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yeah, nice. I hadn't played this originally, so it's always nice when you get those that come across to the Switch. It was also one that, like, technically I was quite like, how's that gonna fare?
Yeah, because it's one that you could look at and almost dismiss as not being as technically advanced as it is.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of lighting going on and stuff in those 2D levels, aren't there?
There's tons. You got tons of like layers and parallax scrolling, but it was brilliant.
Yeah.
In terms of the bit that actually got me into it, it was like the story, like the intro. The first 20 minutes is one of the best intros to a game across the board. It's incredible. Have you played this one?
I've played this one. I haven't played the sequel. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, we won't spoil it, but if you know, you know. Like the shift that it does at the beginning, it's like, oh, that's very cool. That's really nice. Most Metroidvanias just kind of plonk you in, you know, and then you gradually understand the narrative. Here, it's very clear what's happened, and off you pop. So yeah, I thought this was great.
Yeah, this got 90%, as per Metacritic. It's on a 90 as it stands. Yeah, this is, again, so 2019, I don't know how saturated the Metroidvania field or genre was back then, I can't remember, but it certainly is these days. But to see something as good as this, and it was, if you were to list the best Metroidvanias on Switch now, it'd be right up there, wouldn't it? You know, certainly.
I'd say this got like either 93 or 94.
Yeah, it scored high.
I think it's 93. Sure. I think it matched Hollow Knight at the time before I bumped up the value to 20.
Right, moving into second place then, and we've got Dragon Quest 11S.
Yeah, I've done 100 hours in this and still haven't finished it, which is quite upsetting. Did that classic thing where you're like, I must be getting near the end now, and then everything shifts. You're like, oh, I don't know if I was happy or distraught, to be honest. And you got that, what's his name, Silvano. Everyone loves Silvano, but he's blooming irritating. I'm sorry, it just irritates me. If you're not aware of what type of game this is, it's a classic JRPG. Absolutely huge.
Yeah.
With obviously the Dragon Quest. Now, I don't know with the Dragon Quest series, is it different characters each time?
The ones I've played have been. I haven't played all of them. I played the remake of the third game recently.
Yeah.
The first 3, I believe, are a continuation. But then I've played Dragon Quest 9, which were different characters, I believe. So yeah, there must be some different stories, even if some of the games are, you know, banded together.
Yeah, this is like so traditional, turn-based. I do like that it hasn't got random battles.
Oh, so this one hasn't got random battles?
No, you've got enemies in the field and you can avoid them or whatever. Obviously, you kind of need to get strong.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a boss early on, like an octopus on the back of a ship. It was caning me for ages. It's one of those where you go away for like 6 months.
Yeah.
You ever done that?
Yeah.
You leave again, you're like, no, I'm done. And then you come back and you smash it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost, again, it's like psychological, isn't it? It gets in your head. You need to just get away and learn to love yourself and come back and be victorious.
I literally did that last night playing, not love
yourself, no, let's just clarify.
Well, no. I was playing Final Fantasy VII, the remake.
Yeah.
And I got to a section, and you know, like, you do this, like, I don't know, maybe it's like the pride of the gamer. You do this thing where you're like, oh, that's completely unbalanced. Yeah. You know, I died like 4 times. I was like, oh, this is a difficulty spike. The game's broken. There's these flamethrowers in the subway, you might know it. Then I went away, came back, it was easy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what's happened there then?
Yeah, it's weird, it's weird. That's why my game of the year for last year on the Switch was Romancing Saga 2, the remake.
Oh, nice.
And one of the reasons for that was because there was a boss, or a couple of boss battles, not just one, but where I got destroyed and was like, this is ridiculous. Like, you're looking at your scores, obviously for a review, thinking like, is this game that unbalanced?
Yeah.
But then tweaked a few things, tried a different tactic, and won. And I love when that happens. It's not just about going and leveling, albeit, I mean, that's always a part of RPGs, let's be honest. But a change of tactics can work, and that's a good RPG for me, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. That one that we've just reviewed yesterday, the Fire Emblem Sacred Stones, that had a few bosses where like you had to get your tactics spot on. Like you could choose the positions of your units, you know, you could create a formation, and certain enemies could only attack the front if you put your players all the way at the back. So a couple of the bosses I had to really do strategy to win, which is nice.
That's why I love the Fire Emblem games. I know we're getting off track, but might as well. As opposed to like Advance Wars, which are very similar games, because in that one you do have, you know, like collateral damage. You can just pile on and lose a few units, whereas in something like Fire Emblem, you've got, you know, you don't want to lose that particular person. They become a person. Yeah. And you have to think about your strategy more. That's what I've always loved about that series, and well, any RPG really, where you start to really invest in the characters. Yeah, not gonna lie, I did rewind a couple of times yesterday. Oh, did you? To save some characters' lives. Yeah, yeah. It is upsetting when they die. Yeah. And it wasn't out of my hands, but it was like a risk. I took a 50-50 risk, and it didn't pay off. Didn't pay off, yeah. I had that in Fire Emblem Awakening, which you could play without permadeath, but I didn't. And I completed the game thinking I'd done it without losing the character, and then when it had the post like credits thing, it goes through, and it was like in memoriam of, and I'd lost one character. I was like, what? When did he die? I don't remember that. I was devastated. Did they die of old age? No, you do go, in Awakening, you do jump forward in time. Right. But no, they don't die of old age. I don't know what he died of. Boredom, maybe. Scabies. Maybe I hadn't used him. He was just a skeleton in the hut waiting for his turn. But there we go. Bob died. Unlucky Bob. Rest in peace, Bob. All right, and number 1. This surprises me. I don't know about you. This is. Don't know yet. Well, I mean, I'll give you a chance. Sorry, building up suspense. Just go on. I've ruined it. Surprise ready. Go. Okay. I've forgotten the title now. Bloody hell. It's Divinity Original Sin 2. Don't have to go over. Was I wrong about the Switch lineup for year 3? Don't put it on the thumbnail. I might. Just a huge, shocked head. Huge. This head has never been called huge. Yeah, but it wasn't a thumbnail, wouldn't it? Sure. Yeah, you're right. On a thumbnail would be massive, wouldn't it? 400%. Actual size. Walnuts. I'm not surprised at all. No? Oh, well, no, I am. So, let me just rephrase that. Okay. This is a Metacritic ranked score list. Yeah, it got 93 on Metacritic. As a game, doesn't surprise me at all, that score. The fact that I guess the fact that it's making the top of A list is a surprise. It surprises me more on a Nintendo console than it would on another console. Yeah. Because generally, first-party games are scored higher or more revered than third-party games, so that's why it surprises me to see it there. You know, I agree with that surprise. This is a CRPG, so a classic RPG made by Larian Studios, who made the latest Baldur's Gate game.
this is brilliant. Like, this is so good. Like, if you like that genre, if you've played the old Baldur's Gate games, you'll love this. I think it's just the openness. Like, if you need 100 gold coins, you can play like me, or you can play like him.
Yep. What's the difference?
The difference is I get that money really quickly.
Right.
Unfortunately, there are a few widows in town. You,
Yep.
or not just widows. There might be poorer people.
Okay. Yeah.
Sneak plus 15.
Whereas on the other hand, I
Well, you're out there, you know.
getting a job ploughing the fields.
Yeah, you're there with the hoe, and I'm walking past. Like, you still on that? You're like, yeah.
But it's more earned when it happens.
So honourable. 15 hours later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that freedom in games is rare. Like, I think that's why I'm also loving Kingdom Come at the moment. I know I always bang on about it.
Yeah.
But the freedom, man. The freedom. And this is why this is so highly rated. That's what I like, actually. This Metacritic list works quite well in this regard, because it's not the best selling of the games.
Yes.
By a country mile.
I like using Metacritic for this series. I know we have our own scores, although even so at this age, 2019, we still weren't getting...
I did review this, though.
You did review this, yeah, you're right. But, you know, we weren't getting the sort of games that would be at the top of a list, you know, yet. We weren't quite to that point in the channel's life. But regardless of that, I like using Metacritic because I like the surprise of seeing what was there rather than us knowing what we gave. You know what I mean? It's not to say we never do one with our scores, but quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I gave this like 89. I feel like it wasn't quite 90 because performance wasn't great. We'll have to find out. Are you going to put our score on the screen?
I would rather if you just said it because it's less work for me. So, you know, like I did with Cuphead where I, you know, looked.
Give me a second. I actually gave it 85% after Googling it. It was mainly, again, the visuals and the stutters.
Yeah.
So it was performance all the way back then at the start of the Switch's life. Shame. Play that one on Switch too. All right, a couple of honourable mentions then that aren't, you know, Metacritic based, but they are our based. We've got The Witcher 3, which was one that was one of those impossible ports. I wonder if we'll still have that bandied around. Because it's not really an impossible port, is it, when you're looking at like mid-spec hardware?
Yeah, no, you'd like to think by that point
It's just a port.
that moniker will be gone, wouldn't it? Yeah.
You'd hope so. I mean, there probably will be some newer titles that later down the line get that.
Yeah, but not... If it's in the first couple of years, you'd be a bit
concerned,
miffed, wouldn't you? Yeah.
I guess that kind of makes that last point we were talking about a bit more poignant, because that was the case for the Switch, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, it was, yeah. One of my favourites for that year was Time Spinner, which was not an RPG, sorry, a Metroidvania, I meant to say. It doesn't do anything massively special. It's got a lovely art style, it's got pixel art style, interesting story. Just something about it hooked me.
Yeah.
You know, in a world of Metroidvanias, this one, for me at least, stood out. I think on Metacritic it had an 84, which was around about what I gave it. I think I gave it 85 or thereabouts. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed that one. Played it through. It's quite a short one. It was almost like a more traditional Metroidvania before they became 15, 20 hours long. But I played it in a couple of sessions, just blitzed through it, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, another one that I think we both really enjoyed was Alien Isolation. Kind of a lot of ports, really.
Yeah.
You know, those games that you didn't get to experience on other systems. This is such a good game, although it does get a bit tedious by the end. I think that's fair to say. It's a survival horror, isn't it?
Yeah, the initial few hours are incredible. I'd go so far as to say it's one of the best horror games I'd ever played in that first period. And an amazing homage, continuation, whatever you want to call it, of the Alien storyline. It's set in between Alien and Aliens, which Alien Romulus has since come out as a film and kind of covered that period, I believe. But in terms of this game, it takes on Ellen Ripley's daughter. I think she's called, is it Amanda?
Sounds good to me.
Something like that. I forget her name. But anyway, it's her daughter. Obviously, Ripley's still lost in space at this point, and she goes out to the Nostromo, which has been found. But yeah, the first few hours are incredible. The alien reveal is very well done. The alien itself is great. It's very intimidating. But the AI, albeit at first it appears very good, it just starts to get lost in itself a bit as the game goes on. It will jump down into a room from a vent, walk around, go back up. As soon as you step out, it will jump back down. And it starts to just get a bit irritating. If they could have just tweaked that AI, if they ever make a sequel or a similar game where they can just get that AI a bit better, this would be an absolute, you know, classic for the ages.
Yeah, it's interesting with that AI because it's actually, on a technical level, It was one of the most advanced AIs ever made in a game.
Yeah.
What it does is it adapts to the player. So depending on your play style, it starts to learn your patterns and things.
Which is fine, but that's not what the alien would have done.
Right.
AI will do that. It's like when you play a fighting game and the AI learns your moves and starts blocking them.
Yeah.
That's all well and good, but that's not what a human would do. And if you're trying to replicate a human in a fighting game, then that's too much. And if you're trying to replicate an organism, a living organism, they wouldn't keep jumping down the same. You know, AI is great at doing things like that. It's very clever for it to guess your moves, but it's not realistic.
I wonder what modern AI, as we all know, has gone completely bonkers, will be able to do because it's going to control NPCs soon. Yeah,
but for it to appear realistic, it has to be less intelligent than it is.
A bit fallible.
Yeah, absolutely right. But that's a tangent. It's still a great game.
We love a tangent.
We do love a tangent. One more that I'm going to mention, which may be a surprise. This is Star Wars Pinball.
Surprise.
Yeah, another surprised face. This is just a fantastic, digital representation of pinball. You know, the weight of the ball, the tables themselves, going across the Star Wars universe. Sorry, I'm not even a big Star Wars fan. I just thought the tables were very good. I thought the physics of it were fantastic, and you can get physical with this as well with all the tables on. And the reason I mention that is because a lot of the time with pinball games, they use the model of you download almost like an app. You get the first table for free, and then you buy the rest separately. So it's nice to see it done this time as a one purchase, and you get the lot.
Yeah, this is Zen. Is it Zen Pinball?
Zen Pinball, yeah. The team behind Zen Pinball, yeah. Their physics are just spot on.
Lovely. All right, so that is a load of games out of year 3 from the Switch's life cycle. Some really excellent titles there. A few surprises. Bit of pinball thrown in for good measure. Let us know in the comments your games that maybe we haven't spoken about. And yeah, we'll have a little read.
Absolutely. Don't forget, as Mark said, if you're looking for eShop credit to pick any of these games up, you can get your eShop cards. That's our website, switchup.gg. And doing so will get you 5% of your purchase price back as cash back. There are other links down there to places such as PlayAsia. And again, if you use our link and our code, you get yourself some money off there. Thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support. And until next time, happy gaming.